Hey everyone, Nick Janatakis here. In this video, I'd like to go over something pretty basic but also kind of tricky to set up, which is copy-pasting text in your terminal and then making it all work through tmux, Vim, and even WSL, because ideally you'll want to be able to copy things out of Vim and then maybe paste it into a gist through a browser, or maybe take a URL from a browser and paste it into some text file that you're editing through Vim in a terminal, or maybe you just want to copy some text in a tmux pane. Things like that, and we're going to set all of that stuff up in this video. Also, if you happen to be not running Windows, such as native Linux or Mac OS, most of the steps that we're going to cover in this video will apply to you too. So the first thing that you should do is get familiar with your terminal. I'm using WSL TTY, which is, in my opinion, the best terminal for WSL on Windows. You could also use the default WSL terminal, and there's quite a few others, whatever you're comfortable with. But the main takeaway here is get familiar with what hotkeys are available on your terminal to copy and paste text. For example, if you're using WSL TTY like me, and you go to the options and then go to keys, under shortcuts over here, there is Control-Shift-Letter shortcuts. I actually can't remember if this was on by default. I'm pretty sure it may have been off, so you had to enable it. But once you enable this and apply it, I'm going to cancel here because it's already applied, then you will be able to use Control-Shift-C to copy text and Control-Shift-V to paste it. So if I copy my username here, Control-Shift-C, now I can just go Control-Shift-V and I can paste it. Likewise, if I open up Notepad over here, keep in mind Notepad is not running inside of WSL, I can still paste it in here. So even if I go here and I type in hello world and I cut that, I can go here to my terminal and paste it straight in. And that's going to work inside of tmux and Vim as well. So clipboard sharing is going to be working just fine with WSL, and we'll go over how to set that up at the end. So let's say you're familiar now with your terminal, you know how to use copy and paste. Well, the next step now is launching tmux, which I'm sure you probably have installed, or if not, you may want to go and install it now. This isn't going to be a tutorial on tmux, by the way, but now with tmux, things get a little bit interesting too. So if I select the same text as I did before, notice on the right-hand side on the top, you see the 00 in the orange here. This is tmux select mode. So all I'm doing is selecting this with my mouse. I'm not touching any keys. See, here's my left hand, not on the keyboard. And all I have to do now is release the mouse. And, well, let me do that with a little bit different text. So if I take my host name here, right, still not touching any keys, and I just let go of the mouse, now I can hit Control-Shift-V to paste that in. And this behavior is due to a tmux plugin that I have installed that we can take a look at right now. That's going to be in my tmux.conf file. I'm pretty sure it's way on the bottom here. Yep, so this plugin is called tmux-yank, and you can find this on GitHub. So if you did a search for, if you just Googled for tmux-yank, you'll find it. Or if you go to my .files, which is on my GitHub profile, like nickjj/.files, this exact file is going to be there. So the idea with tmux-yank is it just allows you to select some text, and then when you let go, it copies to your clipboard. But as you can see, that that's not really going to work inside of Vim. We need to use Vim's hotkeys to make copy and pasting work inside of Vim. So this is really the only line that you need here in your tmux config, and then also make sure that you install TPM, which is tmux's plugin manager. The instructions are in my .files, and what you can do here, it's very simple. You just clone it to some directory, and then you just reload tmux if it's already running, and you just do your leader key capital I to fetch any plugins that you have, or such as tmux-yank, resurrect, and everything else that you may want to have installed. Okay, so that's all you need to do for getting tmux to work. By the way, also within tmux here, I know I'm just scrolling here blindly through the mouse. You may want to turn on mouse mode on newer versions of tmux. I believe 2.2 or 2.3 maybe. This is the syntax to enable mouse support. It's not necessary to do that, but it does make things a little bit easier for copy pasting. For example, if I leave Vim here, and let's say, I don't know, maybe I'll go to my temp directory here and just create a whole bunch of output here. So let's say that you wanted to copy this one page of text or one page of output. Super easy with tmux, right? With this yank plugin, I would just copy all that and then boom, it's already copied to my clipboard. So if I go and open up Notepad here and paste that in, we can see that everything I just copied has been set to my system clipboard. Easy game. So now let's say that you want to actually copy maybe more than one page, still with using the mouse and tmux. So what I like to do here is copy in reverse. So like I'll start my selection at the bottom of what I want, and then I'll just continue to scroll up here using my mouse wheel. So my left mouse button is down and I'm using the mouse wheel, and we can see on the top right here, I can't move my pointer to it, but notice the number in the top right now, it says line 15 of 189. So there's 189 lines of output here, and right now we have 20 lines selected. So I can just keep scrolling up to the top here, and once it gets closer to 189, that's going to be the end of the output, which is what we have right up here. So what I could do now is, like, let's say I wanted to copy all of this. Yeah, I would just let go of the mouse, and then I can just paste it in here, and we can see many files have been, or lines of output have been copy pasted. So that takes care of dealing with tmux if you just want to copy paste. And what's really nice about this, instead of using like the Control Shift C and V, is, you know, let's say that I have two tmux windows open side by side. And if I go to the temp directory over here and do the same thing, now with the tmux-yank plugin, I can just copy this here, and it is only going to copy the left pane. The right pane is not going to be selected at all. As you can see here, the orange stuff is only on the left. However, if I were using the Shift key here with my selection, now I'm holding down the Shift key, by the way, notice how there's really no way, like if I wanted to copy 2 lines of just the left pane, I really can't do that unless I started like zooming into the left pane, which is a tmux feature that you can do. For example, if you do leader Z, like now it just zoomed into the left pane, and then leader Z again to go back to where you were. Likewise, you can do it over here, and now it's on the right pane, and you get the idea. But anyways, if you're holding the Shift key and you have multiple split windows, you know, and I tried to do a copy here, it's going to copy both of these panes, and that gets super annoying and definitely isn't likely what you want. And the same exact problem happens in Vim too. So if I open up my VcXsrv, let's say, and you know, if I just select things normally with the mouse, because I do have mouse support on with Vim, notice how like the line numbers aren't being copied, like they're not in the selection here. And if I had multiple Vim splits open, so if I do a V split on my VcXsrv file again, now I have 2 splits open here, but if I do a copy here, well, bad example. Let me just open up a different file here. And the reason why it was a bad example is because 2 files opened at the same time, like Vim is going to mirror the selection. So notice here on the left-hand side, like now my tmux config is open on the right, VcXsrv open on the left, and I'm just visually selecting things with the mouse here on the left, but notice how nothing is being selected on the right. But just like before, you know, if I hold down the Shift key, like now it's going to start copying the line numbers and the other Vim split, and that's no good. So you definitely don't want to have to depend on using Shift to copy paste, otherwise you're going to get all of that nonsense. So let me just go over, let me close this first, and then we'll go over how I have Vim set up. So first things first, if you do have Vim installed already, you'll want to make sure that Vim, if you do vim -- version, this is going to be like, let me just zoom in here. It's going to be a little bit hard to read maybe. So I actually have not the Vim package installed. So like I didn't do, you know, apt-get install Vim, and I am running Ubuntu 18.04 here. What I did was, you know, apt-get install vim-gtk. And we're not going to be running GUI Vim or gvim, whatever. We're still running Terminal Vim, but it's been compiled with a whole bunch of GTK features. So the one that you're going to want to make sure that you have enabled is plus clipboard, which we can see here in the middle on the left. So this is going to allow us to copy and paste text to and from our system clipboard using Vim. So now if I unzoom there and go back to over here, the one Vim setting that you will want to set, and People have their own preferences with this, but if you set clipboard equals unnamed plus, then when you go and select text, and let's say, I don't know, maybe you can yank it, so that just copied the text, it is going to yank that text to your system clipboard. So if I go here and open up Notepad here, which again is totally running outside of WSL, and I paste that in there, it's going to paste in exactly what I yanked from Vim. So if I decided I wanted to yank this line, you can just do YY to yank that line, and then I can just paste it over here or to my browser or wherever it needs to go. Likewise, if I type in hello world and I cut that and I go to Vim over here and I do P, and that's going to paste it in. Or I can do, P as many times as I want. And there we go. I just selected that and I hit D, which is going to basically cut it. And then I can paste it here and we're all good. So the only things really required to get that to work was to make sure Vim is compiled with plus clipboard and your clipboard is set to unnamed plus. So now, if I had multiple copies of Vim running or multiple splits of Vim running, like the actions such as D, Y, and P are going to always go to the system clipboard, which I find to be pretty nice. However, there is one problem here, and well, it's not really a problem. So in normal mode with Vim, when you hit the X key, I'm not sure exactly what it does. I mean, it deletes the character, but it is going to overwrite what's in your clipboard. So where is this at? Maybe I'll just do a search for X because I don't know where else, like the actual name of the command. Was it a custom bind? I'm pretty sure it's a custom bind that I did. There we go, it's over here. So prevent X from overwriting what's in the system clipboard. So when you have your clipboard set to unnamed plus, when you hit X or capital X, it's going to overwrite what's in your clipboard. However, what I did was I rebound X and capital X to put these into a different Vim register, so it's not going to conflict with your system's clipboard, but the behavior of these are still going to work exactly as they do in Vim. Because let's say that you had some, I don't know, a couple lines of code in a clipboard or something like that, and you hit X over a character, you don't want to have that O in overwriting to overwrite what you had in your clipboard before. Definitely not a good idea. So let me just go ahead and undo a couple of those changes here. So that's basically all you need to do to set up your terminal, setting up tmux, setting up Vim. So the last step of this story, or the last piece of this puzzle, for getting things to work with WSL is well, how are you going to copy text from Vim, which by the way is running inside of WSL right now. So if I close this out here and I do which Vim, Vim is really installed in WSL right now. It is not running in Windows Windows at all. Purely contained in WSL is the Linux version of Vim. But Vim doesn't really have anything out of the box that, well, I don't want to say it doesn't have anything out of the box that'll make it work with your Windows system clipboard, because I'm pretty sure, and I didn't really research this in depth, there might be a way to configure Vim to write to the system clipboard, but be able to customize which clipboard program gets used, because I'm pretty sure it's going to use Xclip by default or whatever it decides to detect. But when you're using WSL, you actually you can interact with this clip.exe, which allows you to copy and paste text between WSL and Windows, but I didn't go for configuring that with Vim. Instead, what I actually do is I run this program here. Let me just go in and launch it just so you can see. So it is this nice, easy to pronounce name. It's VcXsrv, and basically it's an X server that runs in Windows. It's free, you can download it, Google for it. It's also the hardest name in the history of the freaking universe to remember. It's even harder than trying to figure out the flags for the tar program to zip or unzip a program. I always forget. It's VcXsrv. Get that in your brain because it's very hard to remember. But anyways, when you run it, you can just run it with the default settings that come up, which is multiple windows, next, start no client, and then clipboard will be selected for you automatically. And by the way, these steps are steps that you wouldn't need to take if you're running Mac OS or Linux. This is only if you're running WSL like me. So the clipboard primary selection, you want to make sure those are on. And then what you'll want to do probably, So this is a program that you'll have to run every time Windows starts, and having to go through the motions of doing this every single time Windows starts is kind of lame. So what you could do is save your configuration, and then this is where the fun begins. I don't know if you know this, but Windows has a special folder called like a start folder where you can put, so like right now, first of all, that save action, it's going to write out basically an XML file with the configurations that were set up with whatever you configured here in this little configuration wizard. But what we want to do is we want to write out this, config.xlaunch file to a startup folder so that every time Windows starts up, this thing is going to get started up automatically, and you'll have clipboard sharing between WSL and Windows regardless of what type of application you're running in WSL. So, long story short, you'll want to go to your user directory and then go to app data, I think it's roaming, and then you go to Microsoft, Windows, and then go to Start Menu, Programs, and then in here there is a startup folder. And this is where you'll want to save your config file. Mine's already saved here, so I'm going to cancel out of this. I'm just going to cancel it. Yeah, so there's really even no reason to look at that XML file. It basically gets generated based on your configuration here. So once you've done that, you'll probably need to close your terminal and then open it back up. And then at this point, clipboard sharing is going to work between everything, and life is going to be awesome. So that's really how you wire together your terminal, tmux, Vim, and even WSL to get clipboard sharing to work flawlessly. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know how it goes in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.